at all as we hop into champs. Like, actually, Syndra going to be removed. Raphael not going to have the option to pick up that comfort champion yet again. Rek'Sai off the board here as well. Snake don't want to see Kayn on his also comfortable Corki pickup, but seems to me like with the likes of Syndra and Corki being banned away here, we could have some of the power picks coming through.
Yeah, it certainly looks like things like Nah, Lissandra, Jarvan will manage to sneak their way through one more time. Draven being taken away from Energy Pacemaker, so they've seen the Crystal Callista and they still are banning the Draven.
Yep, Nah going to be taken off the board here from Snake, and there are a few names, a few champions that are seeming quite important here as Kassadin snuck through. Xerath going to be the last one taken off the board. So the Jarvans of the world, the Kassadin's still up here as well. So a lot of high priority picks still left on the table. As you mentioned, Lissandra there as well. And it looks like Snake wanting to lock away a potential Janna pickup here.
Yeah, I like this coming through. It shows nothing of your hand. It allows Crystal to play his extremely aggressive bottom lane. So why not go with something that has been working throughout? Gives a lot of disengage. The speed boost also gives a lot of engage potential. So I like the pickup here. And L has just shown time and again. So good on that.
Yeah, oh yeah, and especially last game. So many clutch shields to come through. His monsoons were amazing, making sure that Amazing J couldn't get in there with that flag and drag. Drizzle, though, able to lock away his comfort champion in that Lee Sin, was very strong, especially in the early games, and Kassadin able to sneak through. And that could be in the hands of Raphael or Amazing J here this game.
Yeah, it certainly could be. And wow, the Azir locked in. So that means that Kassadin will have a hard time if it is mid lane. So that might straight away force Amazing J's hand to take that into the top lane. Of course, after level 6, level 7, does all right, able to hop around and does have some wave clear, but early levels, Azir is just such a bully against melee range.
Oh, most definitely. And able to take it away here as well with Xerath being banned. We've seen, especially in the LPL, Xerath's having quite an easy time here against these Azirs, sort of able to stand back, poke him out, and not have to worry too much about those Sand Soldiers. Kayn looking at potentially going for this Tristana yet again, and you have to think that they are going to have to opt for some sort of lane swap.
Yeah, it depends what's picked up here in the bottom lane. I don't like the Tristana pickup without seeing the AD carry. As we said last time, giving the Nami makes it a safer lane, but it is by no means a winning lane. They got really bullied last time, and the early level 2 that came through on Crystal just cemented the win in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and we'll see what Snake do answer with. Of course, Flandre, known for his very strange pickups here on the top side of the map. They could pick up something strange to really counter this one out and put Energy Pacemaker on the back foot. Crystal looking at a potential Ezreal here at this stage, but it's just a hover. This is Crystal. He can lock in whatever he wants, and the Callista is available, and he had a fantastic game. He's going to lock that away.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. A Morgana pickup, so that could be top lane or mid lane. So I would think it would be maybe Azir top at this point.
Yeah.
I'm just going through what the composition looks like in my head. However, could be either. That could be definitely a flex pick coming through. I like the Callista pickup. Teams haven't been playing against it for extremely long. No one's really worked out what the answer is to it yet.
Yep.
Of course, hard CC, lack of buy or something like that, very good. Maokai comes to mind as well. Able to get it uncomfortable in these team fights. So that will be a mid Kassadin and potentially a top lane Morgana at this point.
Yeah, so we're going to see the Morgana-Maokai matchup. Interesting alliteration, but a matchup that we haven't seen very often, as we have fairly standard Azir into the Kassadin here in the mid side. But Snake, they've got the bottom lane that they had last time, and they're going to be very happy with that.
Yeah, Snake having a ridiculous team fight coming through here. We've seen how much damage Azir as well as Callista can do. You throw the control of Morgana and Janna in there, and it just makes it very hard to deal with their team fight throughout the late game, mid game. They lack some damage late because they only have those 2 big hyper carries really, and they are going to lack some damage in the top lane. Maokai might get tanky enough to deal with it, but overall, I think they've definitely come through with another solid champion select.
Yeah, and I really like sort of this adaptation, putting Flandre, you know, this guy that's happy to pick up almost anything into that top lane. Now with the Morgana, has played the LeBlanc up there, all sorts of different things, but we're going to see a Morgana now with quite a lot of damage, and this is something that people aren't used to. That Dark Binding can hit for a gigantic chunk, and You add a huge Soul Shackles into that for like lots of extra damage and an earlier Zhonya's Hourglass, things could get terrifying.
Yeah, I think can't go for the early Zhonya's Hourglass. That's what's confusing me about this, because it is double AP, so we'll probably have to go for that Abyssal Scepter. But yeah, we'll see how it works out. Can definitely bring something to late game teamfights, but is a lot of burst and not really much follow-up.
Yeah, and we'll see whether they manage to as we hop onto the Rift. Game 2 coming to you guys. Snake on the blue side now with Energy Pacemaker on the red. And we'll see whether this top Morgana can work out here for Flandre. Of course, you can imagine he's pretty comfortable. But starting with that Doran's Ring, not going to go for any of that extra sustain from any flasks or anything like that. And what do you expect to see built out of this Morgana? Do you think it could potentially be that Rod of Ages?
Yeah, I think it will be Roller into Abyssal. Potentially maybe a Chalice, but yeah, I think that Roller into Abyssal is a good matchup against the double AP that comes through. Transition into a Zhonya's Hourglass, and all of a sudden you don't have just a mage, but a very tanky frontliner that will be able to go in there and mix it up. Very good pushing potential in the top lane. Might actually mean that Maokai runs fairly early in the lane, just trying to deal with being able to shove this one back out, but will also be susceptible to some ganks. So I don't mind the top Morgana pickup. I think it is risky to play. If you get a teleport behind bottom lane, it is a very good top laner. But yeah, we'll have to see how it works out, because there is a lot of magic damage that comes out of Maokai, able to break through that black shield, and will have a lot of CC for those ganks. Yeah, that's true. I mean, once Flandre does get a fair bit of that AP, it's going to get more and more difficult for Amazing J to break through that shield. But yeah, you're exactly right. In that early game, going to be easy to break that shield, and Morgana, she tends to waddle a little bit, not the fastest of champions. No, she certainly isn't. And I'm also very interested in this mid lane matchup, because as I said, Azir tends to bully out melee champions with those Sand Soldiers, does a lot of damage, has some control in the mid lane. But Kassadin just has the ability to be able to push out the waves with that Force Pulse and then get very aggressive with the Rift Walks. And we know how squishy Azir is, so I think that Azir does have a little bit of the advantage in the matchup, scales very nicely, but it can swing very quickly in Kassadin's favor, and you throw a Lee Sin into any mid lane matchup, and it just is a lot of surprising damage for a mid laner to deal with, especially one as squishy as Azir. Yeah, and this is the first time that we've seen Raphael on this Kassadin as well. Yeah, it certainly is. However, has played some assassin champions like the LeBlanc coming through, so I'm sure very comfortable on it. Kassadin is just such a, in my opinion, probably the best flex mage at the moment, coming through, extremely strong. So I don't expect him to have too much trouble. Sandra's going to be mad at you for that comment, by the way. Yeah, definitely will be, but I just think Kassadin has a lot of tools in his kit. Anyone that has a 6 to 8 second blink is always going to be a very good champion. That is definitely true, and especially over here in China as well, we've seen stellar performances by the likes of Hatong in the mid lane, and Kola there in the top lane as well has had sort of standout showings on this Kassadin, able to turn these games around almost completely. And Kassadin also fantastic in that later stage of the game alongside a Maokai, alongside a Tristana. And Energy Pacemaker sort of really going hard for this late game type team fight comp with Drizzle on this early game pressure jungler. Yeah, it certainly is, and I think that you really nailed what they're trying to hope to do. They're looking to get the engage with Maokai, hold them there, continue the persistent chase through, get people low with a Kassadin, and get the resets going. So there definitely is a clear methodical idea behind the team fight that comes out of Energy Pacemaker. The problem is that they haven't proven to anyone that they can get to a late game point even enough to be able to make that team fight work. And you throw a Morgana who is extremely early mid-game focused into something like a Jarvan, and all of a sudden you are dealing with a team that will peak at about the 25-minute mark with an extremely late-game comp. Yeah, and if Snake ever catch Energy Pacemaker in a clump, you have to think that everything to come down out of Snake is just going to be straight on top of their heads, and it's going to be so difficult to deal with. The Soul Shackles inside that Cataclysm, if that ever happens, is just terrifying. But pause is now over, ladies and gentlemen. We're back onto the Rift. Only a minute elapsed as Flandre going to take a cute little hit from a sapling and back off to base. Yeah, so just looking to get full HP back. Looks like they are once again electing into standard lanes here. Crystal and Ella, however, not going towards those Krugs, are going to start in lane and try and push this one out. Maybe because they spotted that the bottom lane had backed away. They're going top. Definitely will be a lane swap coming through.
Yeah, trying to make sure that that lane swap comes down here in favor of Energy Pacemaker. Intelligent move. And you can see Snake, they are hanging out in that bottom side brush and maybe wanting to pick off a top laner coming into that lane, but I could imagine the buddy system's going to be coming through here, so not going to find much joy there.
Yeah, just electing for a freeze. So they're up there so they can grab the minion wave as fast as possible. The quicker you grab it and the longer you hold it, the harder it actually pushes. So if you stack it up nicely, we'll be able to ensure that it doesn't reverse against you and you get a lot done. Amazing J actually very, very cute on that Maokai. One of the best champions at taking your camp early.
Yep.
So able to get his own level 2. Doesn't have to die to do it, however.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. As Barker able to pressure out this lane, pushing Raphael in early. And is this what he wants to be doing? He doesn't want to keep that wave away so he can put extra pressure on Raphael, zone him away from some creeps?
Yeah, so he was trying to do that underneath turret. So he will definitely look to push in and try and get as much done, because what he's also trying to do is force Drizzle to come mid. Let them win the lane swap. They think that they have the better of the 2v2 here, 2v1 here. Kalista and her support do a lot of damage with that passive coming through, so they're going to look to really zone hard here, and Morgana can just walk up to the minions and drop a W after about level 5 and push it out herself, so won't need that much health. So the more pressure that Barker can put in on this mid lane, the better off they will be.
Hey, you can see all of Snake actually down here on the bottom side looking to steal away this blue buff already. Barker wants to take that one for himself, does pick it up. Drizzle unable to get his second buff here as Raphael gets caught by a Dark Binding. You saw how much damage comes through with a little bit more AP available here to Flandre in the early stages.
And this is horrible news in the mid lane. The only weakness that Azir really has in laning phase, apart from the limited health pool, is the fact that it goes extremely quickly. You throw in a blue buff on top of that, no longer do you have any care in the world about how you deal with this mid lane wave.
Most definitely not. Shoes come down to this bottom side to allow Amazing J to move up here. We've seen a lot of these Maokais being used in sort of a makeshift, generalized 2v2 situation, as it does mean that Flandre going to head up to this top side. Sand Soldier's going to be fighting Raphael a little bit here, but able to dodge out of the way of them quite nicely. Going to lose a lot of CS onto this turret, though.
Yeah, actually only loses 2 creeps. Actually 1 creep, so it does extremely well there. Holds the CS advantage in the mid lane. As we're zipping around the map, we see Flandre actually has gone back to top lane, is joined by Alla. So they've thrown the 2v1 back at Energy Pacemaker, but with Alla helping out Flandre.
Yeah, they've definitely got a lot of faith in Crystal's ability to perform in this 2v1 situation. And he's able to dance around, so you can imagine that you should be okay here.
Yeah, but so much eyes we have them engaging in on here.
Yeah, Beast is actually coming down, though. Crystal takes a lot of damage, but that Rend is going to stack up, and Beast going to be able to be there for the knock-up. Does manage to find it. The Smite going to come through there as well, I believe, as they're now going to turn their attention onto Shu. Not going to find any kills here, and that Ebb and Flow is doing work here for Shu.
Yeah, had to tank up all of the creeps as well on the way through there, so Beast took a lot of damage. The reason it's confusing me is because Ella is actually soulbound to that Kalista, so they're losing out on all the harass that comes through from the passive. So don't actually agree in sending Alla into this top lane. Think Flandre would be fine. Yeah,
Crystal is actually going to get taken down here for first blood, though. Shu's going to be able to pick that one up. Beast now in a lot of trouble, forced to use that flash, waiting for that flag and dragon. This is the opposite of what happened last game.
Yeah, this is horrible news coming through from Snake after a very smart invade coming through. They've really mucked up this part of the game, so they need to sit back, reset, because now even Drizzle is taking away the jungle on the bottom side of the map. And as I said, Morgana doesn't really need that much help. We'll just be able to push out a wave by herself.
Yeah, she's in no worry at all. Does have a couple of wards available there as well, so he's going to be very, very safe there on that top side. And Ella just needs to take care of his AD carry, man. Unable to do so. Raphael about to hit that level 6 mark. You can see Barker as well going to have that Emperor's Divide available to him relatively soon. And he chose to take this Azir into that Kassadin as well. So must have some ideas now, as we're watching Drizzle trying to put some more pressure onto Crystal. He is the focus here as the Arcane Smash is going to go wide. Crystal's dancing around, wanting to dodge out of the way of this one. The Twisted Advance is going to be available relatively soon. Another Arcane Smash not going to land. So much damage from that Rend. And where was the Twisted Advance?
Yeah, really nicely done there from Crystal to dance around the minions, making sure that Lee Sin couldn't get that Sonic Wave resonating strike through. As in the top lane, Flandre goes extremely low.
Yeah, that was actually Shu finding his way up there as well, and we saw him really impacting the last skirmish. Flandre does have teleport available, but was forced to use that flash there on the top side.
Yeah, so overall, you have to say that Crystal, whilst winning that 2v1, is having a little bit of trouble. Is 10 CS behind his counterpart, and looks like Beast might want to get involved in this top lane, try and help out his top laner. Flandre is doing well in the CS department, but is starting to get shoved in repetitively, and without that flash, is susceptible to some dives.
Yeah, hasn't been back all that recently either. Of course, as you can see on the other side, Amazing J managed to pick up an extra Doran's Ring and that Ruby Crystal, and we'll see whether he decides to go for sort of that lane swap Maokai flavor of the Righteous Glory. And Beast just going to thank Drizzle for what he started there on the Raptors and finish those ones off.
Yeah, able to come through there and take that one away. Barca actually doing a lot of work here against Raphael. The lane is pushing back in Barca's favor as well, so we'll be able to pick up a lot of CS here. So working out in Azir's favor, but that level 6 has been reached, and neither going back to shop yet. You would think that the first major skirmish might be coming up soon between the mid laners.
Yeah, and Raphael going to be much more comfortable when he does complete that Catalyst. As you see, a lot of Kassadin's just becoming a whole lot more tanky there in that mid game, and Barca not going to be as freely able to harass him out with that Flask and, of course, the level up extra health and mana coming through from the Catalyst.
Yeah, so a second blue buff coming through here from Barca. So is holding a slight CS advantage, but with the blue buff, you would expect that as even more harass comes out of this Azir. He's just so frustrating to deal with. Very control-oriented mid laner, and is giving this Kassadin a hard time in the early game.
Yeah, it's like you're versing up to 3 different champions there in the mid lane with all those Sand Soldiers hanging out, throwing spears at you. And this could be another blue steal coming through.
Yeah, it certainly looks like that will be the case. Barca able to pick this one up as well, potentially. So
Whoa.
Gets a refresh. And he's just going to persistently have all this mana. Looks like Raphael is sick of the lane, going back to buy. Really wants to use his items to swing this one around. Does have the Catalyst of the Protector.
Yeah, has managed to pick that one up. Barca now able to potentially go back if he wants to. Has now solidified more than 10 CS in the lead here. But as Raphael's hit level 7 now going to be a little bit more happy to farm out these waves.
Yeah, the only real danger here for Snake is that Crystal is a little bit further behind this game and doesn't have the level advantage. So Kane has that one.
Yeah, Twisted Advance is actually going to come down onto Crystal here. The nice shield comes through from Ella, but Drizzle's found his way in. Crystal gets kicked back to his turret, though. Nice Aqua Prison going to land here, and the Ventral Maelstrom to finish that one off. Drizzle picks up the last kill with a red buff.
Yeah, really nice play there to kick through the AD carry to make sure that they soloed him out. Were able to pick up a double kill there. Will also mean that they grab the first dragon of the game. So much better play in the early game from Energy Pacemaker. We said they keep picking these late game compositions and weren't really able to get there. Looks like this is their chance.
Yeah, this is definitely an opportunity, and having such a late game comp already up about 2,000 gold, able to pick up the first dragon here as well. This is exactly what they wanted moving into this game, and Energy Pacemaker looking like a different team here.
Yeah, and continually picking on Crystal's Kalista means that there just will be even more opportunity for Kane, who has been completely unharassed in that top lane, to get further ahead. Looks like they're finally swapping that one back, making sure they have the lane bully up there. But with 2 levels, maybe it's too little too late.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, Kane going to be able to go back, pick up quite a few items here. Does have 90 CS, sitting on about 900 gold, so might be able to pick up a pickaxe, maybe an Avarice Blade here as well if he wants to go for that static shift for a little bit more mid-game power and insurance. Kane going to be stopped from backing here as Ella's just going to make his life a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, was trying to pick up that pink ward, was defended, and now they have a lot of members coming up here, rotating through. Beast needs to be careful as well.
Yeah, there are lots of pings onto Beast here coming through from Energy Pacemaker as Crystal's putting a lot of damage down onto Kane. There's the Ren to come through for a lot more poke.
Yeah, and Kane just taking these extended fights coming through, so that's not great news for him. Does have the sustain from his support, but when you take that many auto attacks, you just... the passive damage that comes through Ren is just so huge.
Yeah, and we'll see whether Crystal can keep that one up after the Zeal has been picked up here from Kane, but definitely still in a slump on this Tristana. This is not a Tristana that's sort of now going to definitely win that lane. This is a difficult stage. Around that level 8 mark, you know, nothing's really working out in the favor of Tristana quite yet until he does manage to pick up a couple of items. Crystal does have an opportunity to force his way back in this situation. Already caught up on CS.
Yeah, has been able to just get in there and equalize the CS, and Barker in trouble now.
Yeah, Emperor's Divide going to come through. He's going to flash out of the way, use that E in order to get himself to safety, and Ignite, not going to be enough.
Yeah, very, very close there in that, and wow, Amazing J now in trouble.
Yeah, Beast has actually caught him up there. Flandre going to land a nice Dark Blinding here as well. The Tormented Soil is down, but Amazing J is just so tanky on this Maokai.
Yeah, just not enough damage coming through. That was with the Soul Shackles as well, so fantastic ability to be able to dodge that gank. And looks like it's actually going to be an early Morellonomicon coming through on the side of Flandre in the top lane.
Yeah, interesting pickup here. Not wanting to get any of the tankiness available from a potential Rod of Ages. Is Drizzle going to get spotted out by a Sentinel here? Picks up 10 gold for it. And this top lane outer turret, it's going to fall down. Yeah,
so first turret of the game going over to Energy Pacemaker. They've actually got themselves a 2,500 gold lead at this point. So they're sitting very nicely with a late game composition. Looks like Maokai's also elected to pick up some early tenacity. I like that pickup. There is just so much CC coming through, and that will give him the ability to be able to get out of a lot of that, impact team fights, get his damage reduction around his team.
Yeah, and just move around and arcane smash people as well. I mean, it's always good to be able to smash people when you're a tree. And Beast's going to start off this blue buff here as well as, oh, there's a nice arrow into the wall there, and Crystal spots out all the members of Energy Pacemaker waiting to gank.
Yeah, heads up play out of Crystal there, recognizing that he's the one that's being picked on at this point in the game. So being able to throw something in there gives him a little bit of a heads up to exactly what's going on. He is 15 CS behind and 0-2-0, so not his strongest performance by any stretch of the imagination, but now picked up that Runin's Hurricane. We'll be able to start, I guess, getting some more of those auto attacks out.
Yeah, you can certainly clear out these waves a whole lot faster now as well, with that Ren stacking on multiple targets. As you can see, sort of each line of minions, 3 auto attacks, and then you're going to be able to take those ones away. And Flandre able to get a lot of work done on this bottom side as well. I'm not sure whether Kane's even going to make it here in time to save that turret. Dragon up in about 4 minutes now. We'll see whether Snake can actually get themselves back into this one by picking one of those up.
Yeah, so Snake need to equalize now. They've actually just picked up 2 turrets, so extremely well done to be able to get that back in their advantage. Now they're only 400 gold down, and that Sun turret being set up will just buy them enough time to steal away another blue buff and set up ward control over this area.
Yeah, I'm not even sure whether this is a steal at this stage, because it seems to me like it's actually going to be the blue buff of Snake that they're taking, but they're going to be punished for it. Flag and Drag going to come in. Kane very aggressively rocket jumping in. The Sand Soldiers doing some work on their way out. But Snake look to be okay here. Dragon up in another minute and a bit.
Yeah, teleport came through from Amazing J, so not being able to pick anything up there is actually a loss, and Drizzle needs to be careful. He's gone on a solo expedition. Doesn't look like Snake, no, otherwise they might turn this one around. And meanwhile, in the top lane, Crystal takes down the turret, is now ahead in CS, and a little bit of an overreach coming through from Snake, but Energy Pacemaker not able to make them pay for it. Puts them actually very far in the lead in this mid-game.
Yeah, actually managing to claw that gold lead back here as well. Unable to pick up a kill, but really nice mid-game rotations, and their ability to lock down these blue buffs for the entirety of the game as well has really been what's helped them out trying to limp through this, with Crystal getting so focused in the early stages.
Yeah, and now Flandre's gone back. He's picked up those Boots of Lucidity as well, so he's on about 39 cooldown for himself. Nearly maxed out without that blue buff, so he's going to be throwing out a lot of binds and able to get that black shield down in these team fights. So he's changed his build up on this top Morgana just to make sure he has consistent damage coming out, because we did mention if you don't pick that up, it actually means that you have some very long cooldowns and your damage is great up front, but not really much follow-up coming through.
Yeah, that's true. And if he can sort of repeatedly bind people with that Dark Binding as well, that is such a long duration snare to come through from Morgana. And see whether he's got his eye in here. Of course, Flandre Very, very proficient on these sort of unorthodox picks in the top side.
Yeah, and it looks like they've actually gone for a little bit of a shove in the mid lane. So, oh, nice binding hit.
And look at what happens when you've got a Morellonomicon as opposed to, you know, a whole lot of support items on this Morgana. He's going to be Dragon secured here from Snake. They even this one out, but Energy Pacemaker, they want to fight this. There's actually the Emperor's Divide to get them all out, and Crystal able to secure the kill onto Amazing J. They trade it for Beast, though, after they managed to take the Dragon. Shu has got knocked up. Look at Barker's damage on this Azir. That is ridiculous. 2 for 1 and a Dragon for Snake.
Yeah, fantastic Emperor's Divide just meant that the two frontliners could not get into the Dragon Pit to get onto the carries. In the end, a really nice team fight coming out of Snake. Beast dove in there to, I guess, give Flandre a little bit more time and pays for it with his life, but they managed to pick up a big minion wave in the bottom, maybe even a turret for themselves, and the Dragon. Definitely well played.
Yeah, and look at what happens when they focus Crystal instead of Barker. He has a 40 CS advantage here as well, able to do so much work with these Sand Soldiers. There's nothing that Raphael could do after he managed to hit that sort of level 6 spike and utilize a good matchup there, and things definitely working out for Snake at this point in the game.
Yeah, so they go extremely hard in here, and they all get shoved back out, so no one's able to get onto the carries, and Crystal just does so much work. Flandre gets a really nice Soul Shackle, but unfortunately the second part doesn't hit anything, and in the end, throwing Ella in there for the knock-up just, I guess, solidified the team fight.
Oh, most definitely. Caught Shu up. He couldn't really do anything after that Fate's Call came in. And just fantastic team fighting. And this is what Snake are just known for. They're brilliant at knowing exactly what their limits are, and they know what they want to achieve in these team fights as well. They know exactly their win conditions heading into these fights.
Yeah, they certainly do. And a little bit of a mix-up out of the Azir build, with a Death Cap actually being picked up second, so extremely aggressive coming through here.
Seems to be the only build that Barker knows how to do. He just builds those items on everyone that he picks up in the mid lane. I want to see him on a Zed. I reckon that'd be hilarious.
Has actually performed very admirably. So we've talked about the two carries, Flandre and Crystal. Throw Barker in there as well, because he's having a fantastic game this time around. And they seem to just rotate this. Depending on where map jungle pressure is, they can absorb it, really change up their game style. And when you've got a hyper carry like Azir, getting him farm is definitely a good thing.
Oh, Kane actually found out by Ella here. Did manage to clear out a ward, but Ella just going to put a pink to replace it. And the push is now on. And Snake, they just feel like they have the lead here on this bottom side of the map now.
Yeah, well, they just feel like, A, they've got the gold lead back, and B, this is where their composition shines. We were complimenting EP for getting ahead early because that was against their team composition. They shouldn't have been ahead at that point in the game. However, now the gold has swapped 3,000 in the favor of Snake. Definitely puts them at a very large advantage because they've got stronger champions at this point and much better items.
Yeah, and their AoE consistent damage with this Hurricane Callista and Azir as well is just ridiculous. You put Flandre on top of that with his Tormented Soil actually hitting for a lot of damage. It's just ridiculous. Crystal actually now going to be taking away blue buffs because, of course, everyone seems to have a blue buff on the side of Snake.
Yeah, well, Flandre just has that much cooldown reduction in his build. He doesn't actually need it, so ensuring that a lot of spears and rends can come out will be good news for the AD carriers. Barker clearing out this top lane, and he's got a lot of AP at this point in the game.
Oh, yeah. 40 CS advantage as well. The Abyssal Scepter going to be the next option here from Raphael. Looking to finish that one up relatively soon. And you can see Snake, they are starting to group together once more now that we have hit this mid-game in actuality.
Yeah, and the impressive thing about Snake is that they do this against a lot of teams. They're willing to slow the game down when they have a lead and just wait for objectives to come up. Not really trying to force anything today, so happy to play it slow. Can accelerate the game when they want to, and wow, that Ren does silly damage.
Silly damage.
However, their ability to be able to control a game is what really has impressed us, because that's what leads to their consistency. They're a very consistent team at this point, and I guess this is the way that it's just going to play out all these teams. Give the respect that Energy Pacemaker deserve. They've still got a Cassidy who's now picked up his second item, so Raphael definitely on his way to getting some work done, but overall, a really solid mid-game comes out of Snake very often.
Yeah, and look at this as well. I mean, every member able to pick up these pink wards as well. Crystal has one in his inventory. They've got 3 on the map already, able to now solidify vision everywhere. Not wanting to really get it around that Baron, not going to be a point of contention just yet. Is Crystal going to use his down here, but they're waiting for that next dragon, and they know that they can just orchestrate these team fights so beautifully around that dragon pit.
Yeah, and they're using, I guess, Kalista as one of those neutral objective seizing champions. So just recognizing that they don't really take that much damage with this tanky Jarvan as a front line. With that, all the bonus armor he gets, he's able to stay relatively healthy. Just get as many spears in as you can with the Kalista, and then you can't steal it away from a 1500 damage rend at this point in the game.
Yeah, I don't think even a Nunu could steal that one away. It's just ridiculous. As long as Crystal's definitely on top of exactly how much that rend is going to be doing, it is a little bit difficult to do the calculations in your head.
Flandre actually looking for a little bit of a pick here, and this is I'm wondering how they're going to play, I guess, going into the late game, because we mentioned they might have some damage problems. That's the only problem with running a Morgana. She isn't the most, I guess, she isn't the highest consistent damage mage. So if this Tristana continues to scale up, Kassadin is already going. They're still in a good position to be able to turn some team fights around late, just because of the composition that Snake are running. However, if they're able to get some picks with these binds.
Yep, Shu definitely tasting that one as the Cataclysm comes down to Raphael. He's going to die, actually. Beast taken out already as Crystal's found his way into this fight. The rocket jump away from Kayn. Look at the consistent damage coming through now from Barker as the rend is to come down onto Amazing J. He has popped that Righteous Glory, but he's going to fall down. Kayn now wanted to turn around, but there is the Fate's Call, the knock-up onto the Tristana. The flash over from Ella as well to solidify the kill. And with no Tristana, Snake can do anything on this map.
Yeah, fantastic pick coming through from Flandre to get that one started, but it looked like Energy Pacemaker were going to be able to turn it around. In the end, the bottom lane for Snake coming up massive. Ella with a heads-up play, able to pick up the second kill. That will mean the Dragon and a lot of pressure on this mid lane turret.
Yeah, Raphael actually is going to be using that Rift Walk to get very deep into this one as Crystal's going to solo out this Dragon. Raphael's going to be fine. Kayn up in another 7 seconds, but he's not going to make it to any potential Dragon fights, and you can see so much vision being solidified here, and Crystal's been hitting this Dragon for quite some time. Did 2,000 damage with a ring.
Yeah, so they're able to pick up another Dragon for themselves. Once again, controlling vision around the bottom half of the map, looking for another pick.
Yeah, and it is actually going to be the Kassadin the focus. The flash actually into the Dark Binding, forcing the flash out of Raphael. Beautiful use of that skill shot. Flandre putting a lot of pressure down. He's a trade of flashes, though.
Now Crystal and Ella looking to get aggressive around this red buff as well. Getting even more vision. And this is, I guess, what we haven't hit on with Azir. He has fantastic neutral objective control as well.
Yeah, Beast taking a lot of damage here. Drizzle doesn't find him, but the Baron helps him out to take that kill. Safeguard's going to come away here, but the Baron's very angry at Drizzle as Amazing J, he's found his way into this one. Crystal taking so much damage, uses that heal, but he's going to fall down to Kayn. And could this be the Tristana show? Flandre takes a lot of damage, but look at Barker's damage. It is stupid. Dark Binding going to go wide. But who cares, because these Sand Soldiers are doing so much work. Raphael finds him finally with a Null Sphere, and Ella is just doing nothing to Raphael at this stage.
Yeah, really good fight coming out of Energy Pacemaker, because they were able to catch someone out. And Maokai, that big tanky threat in the front line, absorbed a lot of Azir's damage, even though there is a lot coming out at this point. Hitting the tank, definitely not the best option, and unfortunately, Flandre just wasn't able to get involved at the later stage of that fight. We mentioned once the Soul Shackles go out, and if you miss a Dark Binding, a lot of your damage falls away, and you had a massive impact at the start with a really good Soul Shackles, but missed a crucial Dark Binding that meant, in the end, the fight went in Energy Pacemaker's favor.
Yeah, really, really nicely done. Raphael as well with a great performance so far, sort of an unsung hero here.
His first blue.
His first blue buff. Oh, yeah, everything's going to turn around now.
Things are coming up, Raphael.
Well, they certainly are. 2-0-3 now, though. Hasn't died. Doing a lot of work in these team fights.
Looks like he's picking up maybe a Zhonya's Hourglass as well for his next item. So he will have a lot of burst damage and be able to go into that stasis, set up team fights. I guess the danger is on the other side. You just look down the line and there is a full item completed for everyone on the side of Snake. And Flandre, he's just picked up a death cap.
Yeah. Now, we thought it might be the Zhonya's Hourglass because of the incredible inherent synergy with that item and Soul Shackles. But no. This is Flandre. He wants to be doing as much damage as he can at all times.
Certainly does. Also, maybe bypassing that Abyssal Scepter as well. Looks to be maybe picking that one up next. It is a fantastic item on Morgana just because of the proximity you normally have to champions. Will really help Baka's damage here on Azir. Maybe even allow him to go for some more offensive items without having to go for that Void Staff early, which is fantastic because it is hard to get a defensive item into Azir's build path if you do have to pick up that Void Staff.
Yeah, well, that's really, really true. Inner turret, that's going to fall down immediately because the Arai is going to be used on that one to snipe it down. Baka using that to great effect, but Snake now wanting to clear out vision. And it looks like Baron might be where they're to go next.
Yeah, and I like the tactics coming out of Energy Pacemaker here. They are still not looking to fight head-on. They're looking for flanks out of Raphael and out of Drizzle. So look for maybe a Lee Sin kick to get things started or a potential engage that comes through from Raphael once he's picked up that Zhonya's Hourglass. But playing this one a lot smarter, looking for opportunities. Last game, they kind of just tried to stall and left it at that. This time around, really looking to, I guess, put the game back on their term if the fight is available.
Yeah, and if Energy Pacemaker can do anything, it's not do anything. Let's be honest. We've been seeing that coming through in the last couple of series, but calculated play, and we saw them actually pick up their second tie against World Elite yesterday. They utilized these tactics, so we'll see whether it actually works out for them towards the later stages of the game. Only 5,000 gold is the lead here for Snake. And this time, Energy Pacemaker, they've managed to pick up that all-important first dragon here as well. So those 6% extra stats are going to be on their sort of super carries towards this later stage.
Yeah, and a lot of raw damage coming out of Tristana at this point means that those stats are very beneficial. Actually picking up a pickaxe, so it looks like it will be the last Whisper that comes out third item. Don't know if I agree with that, because there's just not that much armor on the side of Snake, and it's a double AP comp essentially, so if they build armor, they're kind of already winning at that point.
Yeah.
So maybe it would have been better to go for something like a Blade of the Ruin King or a Bloodthirster just for some lifesteal and sustainability through these fights, because we've seen through Crystal's build path a lot of sustain, that shield that comes through, able to keep him nice and safe. Tristana not afforded the same luxury here.
Yep. Oh, Snake had their blue buff stolen on the other side of the map. Unfortunate. They are going to find that one out as Baka clears out the pink ward. Snake now setting up 40 seconds until this next dragon is available.
And once again, fantastic positioning. Raphael on the backside looking to see if he can get onto the carries and really cause some problems. Rest of the team grouped up together in the mid.
And Snake looking to potentially find something here. Can get sped up by Shu as well. And Snake not going to find their opening this time around. Defend their outer turret there on the mid side. Only one turret has been taken here for Energy Pacemaker. That 4 is based on those sun turrets that have been taken down here. Azir makes things very difficult as far as that top counter is concerned, but have a look at the map. You can see how many have been removed. And in comparison to the 5 here that Snake have, they've opened up this map for themselves. Haven't quite utilized it as effectively as they'd otherwise like, because Energy Pacemaker able to clear out a lot of this vision. And Snake going to start off this dragon. You have to think that now that Callista's in there, auto-attacking that one down, it's going to go down very quickly. Beast is going to secure that with a smite. Drizzle wants to clear out this ward, but he's not going to quite be able to.
And they get nothing in response. They don't try and push mid lane. They kind of mill around the dragon area. They don't have control of it, don't want to face check this Azir. And in the end, another dragon goes across, 5,000 gold lead. Things maybe starting to fall away from Energy Pacemaker here. They need to try and get some of those turrets that you were talking about in their favor, because the gold lead is just so big at this point in the game, not being able to have those. So mid turret and bottom turret should be the control, but wow, they've actually started off a Baron. Really nice play, because Kalista was in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Callista's in the bottom lane. We were talking about Energy Pacemaker making a decisive move. This is definitely it. Down to about half health. It's not going down too quickly, Snake. Beast is going to find his way in here. 3,000 health now. Gets caught by an Aqua Prison as well. Is the hero gonna come through here, but I don't even know. Flandre's gonna take care of Drizzle. It's actually gonna be Beast finding his way in, steals away the Baron, and this is terrible news for Energy Pacemaker as Raphael is going to get slowed down, caught up to here, forced to use that flash as well as a Rift Walk, as Barker's going to come through on his own weird utilization of a flag and drag. And Kane was in a lot of trouble towards that backside, and this has all gone on its head for Energy Pacemaker after it was a good call to go for that Baron.
Yeah, decisive call to go for the Baron as Flandre pushing in this mid lane now will be joined by his team. So fantastic, I guess, effort to go for it, but lacking in the execution, didn't have enough damage coming through, not able to pull it off, and now they've just given the game on a silver platter to the Snake lineup.
Yeah, and it was so close there as well. Beast getting hit by a really nice Aqua Prison during that fight at the same time meant that he couldn't really get in there with the smite, but like you said, just not enough damage to really rush down that Baron.
Yeah, and I guess they didn't really think of what a Morgana does to your team in a Baron pit if you're caught out. Because you can't get rid of that Soul Shackle, just so much AoE damage that came through, able to really chunk Kane out of that fight, so he had nothing doing there. Because of the lack of sustain coming through from his build path, he has actually finished up that last Whisper now, wasn't able to auto-attack anyone over the wall to get some health back, and just had to run.
Yeah, he did, and he had to use that rocket jump as well to get himself over the wall. And as soon as he does that, then there's no Tristana damage in this fight. And that's what they're relying on here on the side of Energy Pacemaker, as Beast has found Amazing J. Shu gets caught out. They uses the Mikhails on himself in order to keep himself out of it. The Flag and Drag's going to come through after the Aqua Prison. Drizzle gets knocked up here as well. Safeguards over the side. Flandre picks up that kill. The Cataclysm now into Amazing J and Raphael. Kane has found his way into the backside. Crystal's coming through to try and get some work done. That arrow is doing so much work. He's going to flash over, finds Kane. You are definitely dead. Barker's going to pick up that kill as Amazing J is now the focus. The tank not really tanking up for anyone as Dark Binding's going to find Shu. There's a wall to the head. And Barker secures that kill with a ridiculous use of a high cooldown ultimate.
Yeah, and straight away the teleport comes into the mid lane. Snake looking to close this one out in pretty emphatic fashion after Energy Pacemaker made a little bit of a questionable call, but that's the 2-0, and Snake still looking extremely good in the LPL.
Yep, focus down Crystal, and the rest of Snake's lineup are going to fill the gaps that are left. Really beautiful play from Energy Pacemaker to focus, who was the carry in the last game, but Snake, they just have the answers for anything.
Yeah, and consistently across the board, they're playing well. 5-0-7 in the top laner on that Morgana that we haven't seen yet. 6-1-6 for Barker in the mid lane. As a unit, they are on point, and I think you have to shout out Ella in the bottom lane. Another nearly flawless game. 0-1-12. This guy is like above 90% in kill participations most of the time, and just supports Crystal so well.
Yeah, and just makes Crystal look so incredibly good as we hop into a replay, and let's see whether we have any examples of Ella's clutch plays.
Yeah, so if we roll this one out, Energy Pacemaker at this point are actually ahead in the game. So we see that they go in and try and contest this dragon, and Bucker's Azir wall here is beautiful. Able to push people out of the pit, gets himself the shield, and from there, it's really clean up, but that's what won the fight. That wall of the use of the Emperor's Divide just meant that we're able to keep himself and Crystal safe. And after that point, if you're running two hyper carries that can't be touched, you are not going to lose a team fight.
Yeah, and they certainly didn't from that point on. It was the desperation Baron call to come through from Energy Pacemaker to try and find themselves a way into that game. And we were talking about this. They needed to pull the trigger. Not entirely sure whether that was the right call, but it's the right idea. Energy Pacemaker are looking to play well around this mid-early game, but they just can't make the decisions to get them the victories in the end.
Yeah, I think he nailed it. I think Energy Pacemaker will take a lot away from that game. Yeah, in the end, it cost them the game, but at least they were willing to make the call.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But we have heaps more LPL action coming for you guys. 3 more matches to round this one out. The next one going to be Gamty taking on Edward Gaming. So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon.